And welcome back. This is part 2 of our Week 5 wrap, and we've got a lot to get to, so let's jump into it.
Let's get it.
Next, we're going to talk about the Titans and the Steelers. Steelers defeating the Titans 38-17. Hasselbeck went 29 of 49, 262 yards and a touchdown. Chris Johnson went 14 carries for 51 yards and a touchdown. Roethlisberger also going 29 of 49, 262 yards, but 5 touchdowns. Dwyer had 11 rushes for 107 yards. Wallace had 6 receptions for 82 yards and a touchdown. Ward had 2 touchdowns, and Miller had 1 touchdown. What did you see in this game that you liked?
What I did like was Matthew Hasselbeck continuing the role. He kept doing what he was doing as he usually has been. He's been, the focal point of that offense for this year. The focal point that was the offense last year is Chris Johnson, who isn't looking so good this year. For another game, he has not broken the 100-yard mark. He's really disappointing me this year. I see way too much greatness in him. You got paid, you got to start playing like you got paid. Now, I don't understand what it is with these guys getting paid, and then next thing you know, now they don't want to play no more. You got your money, now you figure you can sit back and just collect. The only thing you collect is guaranteed money. You don't collect anything else after that. So you don't need to pull a Darrell Revis and start acting like you don't know how to play no more after you get your money and you cried for it and you screamed for it and you fought for it. Not saying you shouldn't have gotten paid, but if you got paid, then you need to play for it. You're getting paid for a reason. They pay you every game. They pay you the whole year. So you might as well go ahead and get out there and get your money. Um, on the other side of the ball, as far as Pittsburgh goes, there's nothing wrong with these guys. Yeah, they got a little bit of age on defense. So what? The Pittsburgh Steelers love to play smash mouth football. They come out and they hit you in the mouth. Just like Hines Ward will hit you if he's blocking for one of his running backs. Hines Ward had 2 touchdowns. Name you haven't heard in a long time, Heath Miller actually had a touchdown, which it's been a while since I've heard that guy's name. Mike Wallace had his touchdown, and he had his receiving yardage. So Big Ben continued to roll and do his thing. I don't see any problems with that. Um, Next week is going to be an easy week for the Tennessee Titans. They have a bye week, so they'll go ahead and hopefully figure out why CJ is not running the ball like he should be and why Matthew Hasselbeck is the focal point of that offense. And for the Steelers, they'll continue to keep rolling. They go in next week and play the Jags and probably beat them up and punch them in the mouth. The only thing they're not going to punch in the mouth over there is Maurice Jones-Drew because he'll hit you before he hits you, before you hit him.
As you said, Titans do go into a bye, and the Steelers move on to play the Jags. Next, we're going to talk about the Saints and the Panthers. Saints, of course, beating the Panthers 30-27. Breeze threw for 32 of 45 for 359 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Graham had 8 receptions for 129 yards and a touchdown. Pierre Thomas had 1 receiving touchdown. Ingram had 1 touchdown rushing. Cam Newton went 16 of 31, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Williams had 9 rushes for 115 yards and a touchdown. Newton had 7 rushes for 27 yards and a touchdown. And Steve Smith, the number 2 receiver in the league as far as yards go right now, 3 receptions, only 79 yards, but he had a touchdown. Your take on this game?
My take on this game is the Saints kept rolling just like I thought. Breeze keep breezing, and he keeps throwing that ball in a breezy way to every breezy receiver that he can find. The rushing game wasn't all there, but this isn't a rushing team. This is a passing team, and that's what it's always been. That's what it always will be. They do have a few good backs over there in Mark Ingram and Pierre Thomas, but at the same time, these guys like to throw that football around because they have a lot of receivers that they can go to. On the other side of the ball, Cam Newton personifies greatness. I see the Panthers going on an upward slope. They're not going to have 2 wins this year. I'm probably going to predict maybe 6 and 10. But next year, if they can draft themselves another receiver to take a little bit of the pressure off Steve Smith and continue to upgrade that defense, they're going to work out fine. And with Cam Newton at the helm, I don't see them losing anymore. I don't see them being the laughing stock of the league. They are the new Detroit Lions. They're on their way up, and I don't think they're going to go down.
The Saints will move on to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Panthers move on to play the Falcons. Not only a big NFC South matchup, but also what could be a big NFC wildcard matchups going on there as well. So moving on now, we're going to talk about the Bengals and the Jaguars. Bengals beating the Jaguars 30-20. Andy Dalton went 21 of 33, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns. A.J. Green had 5 receptions for 90 yards and a TD. Blaine Gabbert went 15 of 28, 221 yards and a TD. While Mojo Jew, Maurice Jones-Drew, had 19 rushes for 85 yards and a touchdown. And Jason Hill, who's that?
Oh,
118 yards and a touchdown.
Yep. Well, I look at this game like this. Every game the Jags play, you're gonna hear Mojo's name, and every game the Jags play, he's gonna be the focal point of that offense. This is what the Jaguars need to do that they haven't done in recent years, and they've only drafted one guy that people actually know of, and that's Mike Simmons Walker. You need to draft some receivers. Jacksonville, draft receivers. You got a young quarterback, you got to get him some targets. Jason Hill is a good guy, and he's going to go ahead and do some pretty good things in this league. I'm not going to say he's a Hall of Famer because I don't believe that he has that kind of potential, but he is a pretty good receiver. But you got to draft some guys, man. You guys got to get this kid a target to throw to because Blaine Gabbert otherwise is going to look bad because you don't have anybody to throw to. There's nobody to throw to on that side of the ball. I barely can name one of their receivers. The only reason I know Jason Hill is because the 49ers drafted him a few years back. And, of course, Maurice Jones-Drew is going to run that ball. But you got to get Mojo some help by getting some wide receivers so that he doesn't have to run the ball all the time. I'm sure he likes to put the Jags on his back and take them all the way down and into the Super Bowl. But you got to get the kid some help. And that defense – the front seven's got to get shored up and get a little bit better. Their defensive backfield isn't that bad, but with Rasheed Mathis, but they got a lot of holes to fill over there in Jacksonville.
And they better fill them up quick because next they're going to play the Pittsburgh Steelers, while the Bengals move on to play the Peyton Manningless Indianapolis Colts. So moving on here. One of 2 games that I think Al Davis may have played a hand in since passing away on Saturday. The Raiders and the Texans. The Raiders won this game 25-20. Campbell had 15 of 35 for 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. Run DMC didn't really run. He had 16 rushes for 51 yards. Hayward Bay had 7 receptions for 99 yards and a touchdown. And on the other side of the ball, Matt Schaub, 24-51, 416 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Arian Foster had 22 carries for 68 yards, 5 receptions, 116 yards receiving as well. Dressen had 5 receptions, 112 yards, touchdown receiving. And Kevin Walter went 5 receptions, 81 yards, and a touchdown. What did you see in this game?
Well, I'm going to have to say that the Raiders did play well, but the Raiders were given this game at the end of the game by Matt Schaub. That pick that he threw to Michael Huff, that was as obvious as ever. Matt Schaub's never probably thrown a pick like that in his life. You're looking dead at the safety, and you throw it right into his hands. So you give him the game because Al Davis died. Okay, you know what? No respect, no disrespect to Al Davis and his family. He was a great man. He did great things for this league. But there is a lot of disrespect to Matt Schaub in this. Matt Schaub, never give a game away because you feel sympathetic for somebody. Throw the ball to the right person and make sure you get it in the right spot. You didn't have to give that game away like that. I understand that he passed away. But you're in the AFC South, which is up for grabs for a change. Take hold of the reins. Try to be number 1. For once, get these guys into the playoffs. On the other side of the ball, the Raiders played okay. Jason Campbell did, he did his thing. And Darius Hayward-Bay, I haven't heard that name in a long time. Guys got speed. Al Davis drafted him because he was fast. But this is all I've heard of him in recent years.
And I had to agree with that statement. The Raiders move on to play the Browns, while the Texans play the Ravens in what should be a really good game. Next, we're going to talk about the Chargers and the Broncos. A lot of storylines in this one. Rivers went 18 of 29, 250 yards, 1 touchdown, and a rushing TD. Floyd had 3 receptions for 100 yards and a touchdown. Their kicker, Chris Novak, 5 field goals on 5 attempts. Matthews had 24 rushes for 125 yards. And on the other side of the ball, Kyle Orton went 6 of 13 for only 34 yards. We have to make a change, guys. Here comes Tim Tebow, 4 of 10, 79 yards and a touchdown, 6 rushes for 38 yards and a rushing TD. Willis McGahee had 16 rushes for 125 yards. I have 2 questions for you. Number 1, what did you think of this game? And number 2, Tim Tebow, is he ready to go?
What I thought of this game was it was a pretty good game. Through and through, it wasn't that bad. Of course, the Chargers keep on rolling. They're going to take the AFC West this year. The Chiefs have not all but given up, but they're not the same Chiefs they were a few years ago when they had all those guys. They had Charlie Weiss, Romeo Cornell, and Todd Haley, and this dream team of coordinators. Now they just have Todd Haley. No offense to the guy, but just have Todd Haley. So the Chargers are going to keep rolling. Ryan Matthews is actually looking good this year. He's playing like the guy that they felt they drafted the year before. Malcolm Floyd had a few nice catches. Phillip Rivers, the most underrated quarterback in the league, had a great game as usual. Continues to keep rolling. On the other side of the ball, Kyle Orton got pulled because Kyle Orton was doing bad. And then they put in who? Tim Tebow. The fans had been grilling John Fox about putting Tebow in. It's Tebow time. We want Tebow, 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 Tebow. I'm pretty sure he hears it in his sleeps, his dreams, his nightmares. He probably hears it even when he goes to the bathroom. This is the thing. Yes, it's Tebow time. They're heading into a bye week, so that gives them the chance to sit back and figure out what they want to do and how they want to do it. And in that, given that, I'm going to say Tim Tebow is going to lead them, and he's going to get them a few more wins than Kyle Orton would this year. Tim Tebow has that X factor. That X factor is he has so many different things about him that make people want to get behind him that it's hard to not love the guy. As a human being, you love him. You just do. I like Tim Tebow. He's a Christian guy. He knows how to lead a team. When everybody's feeling down and out, he lifts everybody up. He has the leadership skills. He has the abilities, and he's a proven winner. He doesn't lose. You go back to college, the guy does not lose. So it's plain and simple. It's Tebow time in Denver. They got a bye week to get him a few plays in there, and they're going to be able to do some nice things with him. I see Tebow going really, really far.
Join us for part 3. We're going to talk Packers, Falcons, Bears, Lions. We're going to talk about the Bears, and we're going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Join us next.